Hi, I'm Matt Golson, and this is another Insane Budget Photography. So today we're going to talk about something called zines, and specifically photozines. So when I was younger, I was really fascinated with the idea of like underground press, you know, like secret newspapers or underground newspapers. And I really didn't know what even a zine was. I hadn't heard that term until later. But that's a pretty common thing, and zines have a lot of different types, and a very popular type right now is the photozine. So we live in a world where everything's become digital, and it's great to share your photos on Instagram or Facebook or wherever. And I mean, there's no better time to be a photographer than now. But also, we kind of miss something, and what I feel like we miss is that printed photograph that you can hold in your hand, that you can give the people, and that copy of it it's like a real object and not something that just exists on the cloud. So that's where I think photozines come into play, and I think that's why they're awesome. So if you're a photographer and you want to kind of expand your abilities a little bit, if you don't print your own photos, or if you just have always kind of wanted to kind of produce something, kind of like a record of your work or something you can trade or sell, then photozines could be for you. So I've been making them for a little while now, and I'll show you a couple of mine. So these are little mini photozines that I have, and so I called my photozine, well, hello there, cat. So I called my photozine Unbridled Enthusiasm, and which I stole from Seinfeld. But anyway, so my photozines, they generally have like a little theme every time I make one. And the great thing about them is when you're making a photozine, I mean, it's like there's no expectations, there's no requirements. It's really just whatever you want to do. If you just want to put a bunch of random photos together, if you have some real artsy idea, if you have whatever it is, you can do it. I mean, because it's yours. And you're making it yourself, and the cost is really, really low. So I make my photozines for almost nothing. Now, if you were more serious about this, you could send zines off to printing companies and get them printed, and they probably look a lot better and more professional. But for me, I'm pretty happy with this. I'm printing maybe 10, 20 of them. I send them out to a few people for trades. I have sold a couple, but only a couple, so that's pretty minor. So I want to show you the process of going through and making this zine I just created here, Unbridled Enthusiasm Volume 2, Issue 1, and I'll show you how that's done. Okay guys, so here is my laid out front page. So you're going to print one 8.5 by 11 front and back, and you're going to need to lay out them on separate pages in Photoshop if that's the way you're going to do it. And so here is my first page and my 8th page directly opposite, and those are going to be right side up. And then upside down, I'm going to have, this is actually going to be my 5th page up here in the upper left hand corner, and this is going to be my 6th page. Now, if page numbers are important because your photo book is supposed to unwind in a certain way or be read in a certain way, you're going to have to watch that. But if they're not important, it's really not that big of a deal. So now that I've got my front page laid out, I'm going to show you how to lay out the back page, and it's pretty much the same way. So if I drag a picture in and just drop it, Photoshop will place that image for us, and then we can size it. But we're going to run into a problem because we need to take up all of the space. We're wanting to print edge to edge, at least that's the way I want to do it. And so we're going to need to take up all the space. And as you can see, my image doesn't really fit. Now I can go ahead and just kind of like fudge it over a little bit and have a little bit of overlap onto my 8th page, and I could cover that up with the 8th page image. But let's say your composition is really important and cropping is really important. So the aspect ratios are wrong. So these images, the aspect ratio is not going to work. I'm going to have to make some adjustments. And honestly, it's a lot easier just to go ahead and open that image up in Photoshop and do it that way. So I'm going to delete this. I'm not going to place it. And I'm going to open the image up in Photoshop. And I've already got my crop set up. So you're going to need to set up your crop to be 5.5 inches wide, 4.25 inches tall, and 300 pixels per inch to fit. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and figure out where I want to crop it. So I think right about there, and hit enter to crop. And I'm going to save it. Now, guys, before I make a book, I always go through my whatever photos I'm wanting to use in the book. I always go through and make separate copies of those photos in a new folder and name that folder whatever the book's name is, so I have a copy of it, and that way I'm not actually going to mess up my original images. So these are copies of the original images, so I can crop them without worrying about messing up the original. So now that that's cropped, if I close it, gotta save it, close it, drag it back on my template, it's perfect fit. Okay, saves you a lot of time, and it's a lot neater and better way to do it. So my template is just a sheet of 8.5 by 11 inch paper divided into 4 equal parts, and like I said, it's 5 by 5, 5.5 inches by 4.5 inches. All right, so here's another one that I've gone ahead and pre-cut. So this is going to be my page, I believe, let's see, 2 and 3. So for my next image I'm going to drop in, I've got a little problem with this image because I don't want to lose the aspect ratio. It's wide and I don't want to lose it because I don't want to lose this clock up here in the corner, and I don't want to lose this candlestick over here. And so if I were to crop this down, I'm going to lose a lot of the details I want to keep. So if that's the case, you're just going to have to put it in with a little bit of white on top and bottom. So these have to be upside down, so I got to flip it upside down, and then I've just got to fit it horizontally and just let there be empty white space on the top and bottom. I don't really prefer to do that, but if the image requires being this aspect ratio, then that's what I'm gonna do. And to me, I don't want to lose some of the details because this image is all about the tiny little intricate details in this shadow box. Okay, so that's placed, and now I got one more to place, and this peep has already been properly sized. So I just have to get it in the right spot and then flip it around so it's upside down. And that's it. That's all there is to it. The book is laid out. I mean, it's just ready to print. So guys, one of the most difficult parts about this whole thing is printing. So this is my Canon Pro 100, which does great edge-to-edge printing. And so first thing, you got to decide what kind of paper you want to use. So like, this is pretty decent. You can get this at Walmart. It's really bright, and the prints come out looking pretty decent. Not great, but decent. And that paper is pretty cheap. So that's a really good paper to use if you just want to make some cheaper copies or some proofing. If you really want to make something a little higher quality though, Red River paper has a lot of double-sided coated mattes that would be really good. Or you can get double-sided coated glossy and semi-glossy. There's a lot of different kind of paper. So Red River paper is great. And you know, it's a little more expensive. They have like, I think it's like a 30 or 40 pound double-sided matte. That's what I usually use, and it's fairly cheap, and I accidentally left that at work, so I don't have that right now, but I'm just going to use this regular paper for proofing. The other problem with printing is getting it correct, because you have to make sure it prints on, you know, the right side. So once you've print one side, you have to be really careful about how you put it back in the printer. So I want to put it in upside down like this. So guys, you know you've done it right if it comes out and right side picture on the bottom on one side is matched to a right side up picture on the back. They'll be flip-flopped if you put it in wrong. So again, when you put the paper in, once you print one side, you just pick it up, put it in, don't turn it around, and you'll get it right. So guys, once you've got it printed, you just take the magazine, fold it across the top, and then you're going to fold it across the spine like that. You've got your 4 pages. You're going to want to go ahead and trim with some scissors so that you can open all 4 pages. And if you want to put a little finishing touch on it, if you have a cat in the way, you can move the cat. If you got a book stapler, put your staple there in the center to saddle stitch it or saddle staple it, keep it all together. And if you did kind of hack up the top like I did, or if your printing isn't perfect, a good final touch is a paper cutter and just trim it so that it's nice and even all the way across the top, bottom, and side. You lose a little bit of picture, but it's worth it to get a more nice looking book. So here's a book printed on just super premium regular uncoated copy paper from Walmart, and here's a book printed on a much higher quality matte double-sided Red River paper, and it's definitely brighter. Images are way more photographic, a lot less dingy looking than this. So, you know, that paper, it's worth the investment. But if you're just learning or you just want to keep prices down really low, then this will work fine for now. So, pretty big difference in quality though when you really start comparing the difference between a coated and uncoated paper. Well guys, thanks for watching. If you want to make your own photozine, I hope this helps. It's definitely took me a while to learn how to do all this, so I'm trying to make it a little easier for you. And hey, if you're interested in buying any of my photozines, check the link below to my store and see what I currently have available. Later.